Hi there, we're back again on another Tuesday to talk about stuff. We're always talking about stuff. And we're talking about things that would help you in your
Good
professional
stuff.
life. So whether you're talking about stuff for business builders or for job seekers, it doesn't matter. It's all good on LinkedIn. And we're always here to help you market yourself and market your business, whatever that would be. So today we have a really interesting topic that's near and dear to my heart because I love public speaking. And it is about boosting your business or career with Toastmasters. And we have a special guest today. Janet and I have a special guest, and it's Randall Bagley. So let me just see if I can get our name tags up here so everybody can see who we are. And Randall and I have known each other since 2014, and I do the math, but I can't. I think that's about 6 years. That sounds about right. And we were in the same Toastmasters club in Logan, Utah, and Brigham City, because it's one of those dual Toastmasters clubs. And we thought this would be a great topic to talk about Toastmasters and how it can help you in your professional life. So with that, we're just going to get stuck in and talk about the conversation. So Randall, do you find that people go, what is Toastmasters? Are you guys making toast? Like, what do you do there? Can you sum it up in, I know you've done PR, so can you sum up what exactly is Toastmasters to start with?
Yeah, that's a good question, Gillian. A lot of people are unfamiliar. They have no idea. It does have an unusual name, but Toastmasters, if you wanted to sum it up, is a club that helps you develop your public speaking and leadership skills. It's a well-organized club. They meet regularly. It may be weekly, it may be monthly, but you have the opportunity where you can practice these skills. And you get support and encouragement from other members. And through this, you become a better public speaker. You become a better leader. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. And, and it's amazing because it's a huge organization, because it's like pretty much all over the world. They have conventions worldwide. I don't know if there's a place you can go to on the planet that you don't find a Toastmasters club. And it's kind of cool because if you're in Toastmasters and you travel, you can go and be a guest at any Toastmasters club all over the world. And I did that once. I went to Vancouver, saw that they had a local Toastmasters club. I called up, said, could I come? They said, yes, come. And then they put me to work. They had me do an evaluation that day. And it was just like, I thought I'd be a fly on the wall. So it's nice in that it's this huge organization, but then it's nice and small in that there's probably a local club by you and probably several. So that's kind of the nice thing, is that you don't just have one for your town. It's like there might be a club that meets in the day and a club that meets in the evening, or a club at a business organization, because a lot of businesses sponsor clubs. I think Google and Apple and a lot of the huge corporations sponsor Toastmasters Club privately for their employees, but most of the clubs are public and they're all over the world, all over the place. And we'll put the link in so that you can find a club by you. So before we started talking today, we were talking about when I joined Toastmasters, when you joined Toastmasters, Randall, and you shared that I was the very first person that you talked to. So can you just share that story again about how you found the Toastmasters Club and how you got to know me?
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Back in 2014, I had heard about Toastmasters. I knew a little bit about what they did, but I've never attended a meeting. I was always curious. I always wanted to improve my speaking skills. And there was an ad in the local newspaper. It was just a short paragraph that said that they meet twice a month, and that if you were interested, to please call this number. And so I called it, and it was you. It was Gillian. Gillian was the vice president of PR at the time. Very helpful. She told me about where and we meet. This club was kind of a dinner club. They meet the second and fourth Wednesdays in the evening at a restaurant. And so I attended the first meeting, and I was just kind of blown away. There was kind of three things I really noticed. Everyone was very kind to me. Several people, including yourself, came up and introduced themselves. Very warm. The second thing is that everyone was very supportive. As I went through the meeting, I was just really surprised at how supportive they were. They would applaud and clap and really encourage people with what they did. So I was impressed with that. And the third thing I noticed is there were a lot of great speakers. I watched people and I thought, wow, I can learn a lot from watching the people in this club. So I kind of decided right then and there that this is a place I needed to be. And the people that attend, they're, they just want to improve themselves. They want to become better at public speaking. And so it's kind of a group that I fit in well with.
Absolutely. And it is such a safe space. And actually, Janet, you came to visit. And I said, well, I have to go to Toastmasters tonight. Come with me. And you came with me. So can you give us the impression of what it was like to be a guest at a Toastmasters meeting and sort of what were your thoughts?
Well, two major things stood out for me. Number one, everybody was very friendly. So that was great, very welcoming. And the second thing was how structured it was. And that I believe that the structure is the same no matter which Toastmasters you go through or go to. There are a process that you go through during the course of the evening or during the meeting. And it helps people get better and that there's no judgment. I guess that's the third thing. There's no judgment. There's no
safe space.
You're so bad. Go home. There was none of that going on. So it was a very safe place to be in order to explore your speaking skills. And I think all of us need it for a variety of reasons, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. I think people always need to feel more comfortable. And I know one of the things is the grammar thing.
Yes, because each meeting has someone assigned to do a different role. So one of them is a Toastmaster who runs the meeting and keeps it all on track. You have evaluators, you have speakers, but then you have the trusty grammarian. And everybody hates being the grammarian because we need Susan Rooks.
I was thinking of her.
She would be perfect, but everybody hates being the grammarian because what you're doing is you're watching people speak throughout the evening and you're giving a report. But you can also say good things. It doesn't always have to be a negative, but it always feels like, oh my gosh, my grammar.
Right. So let me ask a question of you both. I didn't join and I don't know why. I think I actually checked one out in Kansas City and I don't know, for some reason it didn't speak to me. So I just moved on, maybe that was a loss for me. So, because I know, Gillian, how passionate you are about Toastmasters and I've always watched you and admired that you did this. But what I wanted to ask was, I would imagine that there's some different flavors, but when you go, like, is there a time when you stop, or is there a time when you say like, okay, I'm really good, or is it just something that you just get so involved in? And maybe that was the thing. I didn't go enough, and so I didn't get the involvement that maybe you need to get them more involved so that now it takes on a life of its own.
I think that's the key, wouldn't you say, Randall, that it's like, there's no you're done. It's like you can be done. So you can, stop and start at any particular time. Dues are only for 6 months, to begin with. So there's no long-term commitment. It's $20 to join and you're it for life. And then you just have your 6-month dues, which I think are about $40 or right. 45 a month for 6 months.
Bank, not the break the bank cost.
Yeah, it's like $2 a week, it's like less than a cup of coffee type of thing. But the thing is that there's all these programs and it is very structured, like the meetings are structured. So is Toastmasters. So you actually choose your own adventure. You choose a path. So, and Randall, you can probably talk more about this because I've kind of like old school Toastmasters with the manuals, but now they have digital paths and you can choose. I want to get, PR skills. I want to be able to deal with the media, or you might say, I want to be an inspirational speaker. So I want to go on a path that teaches me how to do motivation and inspirational talks. It could be how to be more humorous. I think there's a whole humorous path. Actually, Randall, I'll stop talking. You talk about how those paths work, because that's better than me.
Yes, they have.
We'll put a timer on her, Randall.
Currently, I believe they have 11 paths you can join. And you're right. You can kind of pick the path that you want to learn and choose those. The one I chose was just presentation mastery. I just wanted to be a better public speaker. And I think that's one of the things that keeps me in Toastmasters. There's several, but the main one is I can always improve. I've seen a ton of improvement, but I've got a long ways to go. I recorded myself speaking the other day, and I was kind of appalled. I said, oh, I'm doing this wrong. So it makes you aware of your mistakes. It makes you aware of what you need to improve on. And so that's one thing I did. And that's what you taught me once, is to record your speeches. And if you do that, that gives you kind of a reference point of where you need to improve and what you can do better. So I appreciate you telling me that great tip. And
it's so important. And you're right. It's funny, when I first joined Toastmasters, I was a little bit cheeky, and I just kind of went, I already know how to public speak. I'm fine. And I showed up, and I think I did a speech, and one of the people evaluating me in the club made a reference to my T-Rex arms. And I went, T-Rex arms? Oh my gosh, what is that? And he said, when I was speaking, while I spoke nicely, projected my voice, had lots of variety, my arms were at my side. And he says, you look like a little T-Rex from Jurassic Park. And I went, oh my gosh. So there was something I wasn't aware of. I was focusing on my words and my sounds, and I didn't realize that I needed to learn how to get out and walk into the audience and, use bigger gestures and things like that. So we think we're good, but there's so much to improve on. And so when people evaluate you, which is what happens at Toastmasters, so you give a speech and then someone evaluates you, and your club can even give you sort of their own little 2 cents, but you are evaluated in a structured format. But what's nice is, even when you see other people speak and see their evaluations, you're learning by watching speakers, but you're also learning by seeing other people evaluated. And even the top-notch people in our club, and Randall, my goodness, we have people that have been there for 25 years, and they have become DTMs, which is sort of your doctorate of Toastmasters. Mm-hmm. I think it's actually distinguished Toastmasters.
Right.
And we can find ways for you to improve. So
exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably no perfect speaker, but I would think nowadays it would also be important for video. So, we used to think it was just to be out in front of an audience, right? But now video has taken on so much power. So do they talk about that in Toastmasters now, or it doesn't matter because it's just about public speaking and wherever you want to speak?
No, with the pandemic hitting, most clubs now went to online. We use Zoom now, where we meet here. We're unable to get together, so that's what we do now. So that's a big change from what it used to be, and we're gradually getting back to in-person meetings. But right now, our club is currently meeting virtually through Zoom. So we've learned a lot. We've learned the technology and what's necessary to carry on a meeting through that.
Well, that's really hard, Randall, because
Yeah.
I was going to say, because now when you're talking on Zoom, you're seeing yourself, when you got up in front of the room, you're just talking to everybody else. So you're not seeing yourself, but now you're on Zoom. So you're seeing yourself as well. It's that's really hard.
Do you record the speeches for people or no?
Generally, we don't. We can if we want. I try to. If I'm giving a speech, I'll record it just so I can go back and look at it. And you learn a lot from watching your recordings.
Mm-hmm. You do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of my favorite things of Toastmasters, which I think helps you in your career, because if you were job hunting, interviewing skills are so important, good communication skills. But there's a thing called table topics, which anybody who goes to a Toastmasters meeting, even if you're not a member, everybody's invited to participate in this. And what it is they give you an impromptu thing to answer a question, a prompt, and you have to stand up and just talk about it for a minute or two. And that's really exciting because it gives you that ability to think on your feet, or if you're on Zoom, think on your seat. Just, and just go. Now, I won an award for that. I was really excited. But Randall, talk about some of the awards that you've won, because you are truly an award-winning speaker. So talk about some of the contests that you've been in, because that's huge to be an award-winning speaker.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, and you are the model impromptu speaker here. I watched, and I wish I was even 1/10 as good as you, but you are so great at impromptu speaking. And that's one thing I've gotten better at. When I first started, it just scared me to death. But now I'm better. I'm still not where I want to be, but I am, getting better with impromptu speaking. So, yeah, I remember when I first joined the club, it was just a few months after I joined, I attended a speech contest. I can't remember if it was an area or division one, but I saw the people and I thought, wow, I wonder if someday, if I'll be good enough where I can compete in a contest. And that was my goal, to someday be good enough where I could do that. And within a year, I was competing in speech contests and all the way to the district level. And I have won two. I have won a Tall Tales and a Humorous Speech contest. So it's just been great here. It's fun to, start with nothing and create a speech, and you continually improve and make it better. You have opportunities to give the speech at the club, area, division, and district level. So it's always changing, very dynamic. So that's fun. I love the creative process of able to get up there and talk about it. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
And my hat is off to you for doing a humorous speech, because to write a speech is difficult. To write a humorous speech is especially difficult. And yours was actually amazing. It was like James Bond and all sorts of stuff going on there. And it was truly amazing because you utilized props and, you had gags and stuff like that. So where are all your trophies now? Strewn about the house?
Yeah, I got a few down on my dresser drawer. So, yeah.
So tell us what a tall tale is, because a lot of people might be, what is a tall tale?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's just something that's kind of unbelievable. You look at a Paul Bunyan one. My tall tale was my desire to drink water. I couldn't stop drinking water. So that was it. I drank, the normal person would drink 6 or 8 bottles a day, but I would drink 80 to 100. So that was my tall tale speech. And I talked about how much I loved it, how much it improved me, but it did have some bad side effects. So I talked about that also.
That you drowned.
So you actually, combined, your humorous into your tall tales. So that was good as well. Have you ever done the sort of the inspirational speech? Have you gone out for that contest yet?
I did, in fact, a year ago. The International Speech Contest is kind of something that's more motivational or inspirational. And I did make it to the district level, but I did not place. That was
awesome.
A little different, but I did make it there. I felt happy about that. It was a little more challenging. That was the first contest, which was online, which was a little more challenging. So, but yeah, I was just impressed with the other speakers. Everyone just did a great job. So that's always fun to watch and participate in. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if we were talking about, you work at Utah State University, if you were recruiting people, and I know that's probably not part of your job, but if you were recruiting with people and you were looking at resumes, if you saw Toastmaster on the resume, would that be an advantage? Would you see that candidate in a different light?
Oh, definitely. If they've been a member of Toastmasters, you know that they're going to be able to communicate well. They're going to be able to express their ideas. They're going to be able to be a great presenter usually. And also leadership skills. You get the opportunity where you get to conduct meetings. So they probably know how to lead meetings. So any type of leadership role, that would be very beneficial.
So it's one of those things that can like give you that edge for, you know, just standing out from the other applicants. So being a part of Toastmasters, you know, has that benefit on paper as well as the applied skills that you're learning and taking with you as you move forward. So that's really good. That's good. In terms of, oh, my brain just blanked. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm sorry now. Now that we're doing this interview with Randall, no, I'm sorry I didn't do it.
But you still can. That's the amazing thing.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. And actually, I think it's interesting. Prior to the pandemic, Toastmasters as an organization was kind of resistant to doing online meetings. They really felt that there's something to be said about being, you know, with people, because, you know, you can't really clap online like you do at a real meeting. And I know that when Randall and I were at our Toastmasters meeting, it was a supper club. And that's kind of unique. And because you're competing with dinner, you know, people are eating their fish and chips and their hamburgers, and you got the waiters and the waitresses coming in and they're clanking and banging around. And you could say, well, that's really distracting. I don't want to be in a club that does that. I'd like to be in a nice quiet club. But my interpretation was, when we do live in-person speaking, a lot of times you are at a supper club. So if you can learn to speak over distractions and not be worried that like, oh no, somebody just had coffee dropped on them and I can keep going, you know, it makes you, I think, a better speaker. So I think that's a good thing. But you can do it now, Janet. It's never too late to join Toastmasters, never too late. And many people actually belong to several clubs.
Right.
Well, and I was thinking it would be, if you're in a new area, that's probably a great way to start to meet people. You know, like I moved to a new city last September, and in the middle of COVID, you know, when you can't even meet your neighbors.
Right.
Well, and I think that networking, first of all, the networking that you can do in Toastmasters is great because you're introduced to positive people who want to improve themselves. So it's exactly the kind of people that we want to grow our professional network with, but also too, you become friends. And we would have offsite, you know, parties. We'd have Christmas parties, and we'd have a summer. We always went to Gary's cabin at Bear Lake, and we'd have a picnic in the summer. So we did social things as well. But for instance, in terms of business, in our club, we had a realtor. And so when I went to sell my house, who do you think I would call? I'm going to call the guy that I know, like, and trust, who I have known for 3 or 4 years. And so the day that I wanted the realtor, who do you think I called? I called Jacob Howell. He was the realtor in our club. And I think, Randall, he sold a lot of people's houses, didn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, several.
You know, so again, if Randall was looking for, you know, if there was a career opportunity in his department, he might say, well, why don't I just let everybody in my Toastmasters club? Who do you know? You know, or, oh, hey, Carol's looking for a job. She would be perfect. So the networking opportunities are great. And I have found personally on LinkedIn that if I approach somebody who is a Toastmaster and I tell them I'm a Toastmaster, that's it. They accept my invitation, because it's kind of like, oh, you're already in the, you know, secret club, the secret tea club.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, Janet mentioned here what keeps people in, and that's true. The friendships you develop, you know, you just look forward every 2 weeks to seeing your friends and seeing how they're doing, how their family's doing. So that's what keeps you in. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And like I said before, you can travel and go to Toastmasters clubs all over the world. Most of the clubs worldwide speak English. And I know that a lot of people in other countries really appreciate having a place to practice their English speaking skills. So when my son went to Taiwan, he didn't go, but we did find him a Toastmasters club, because he was a Toastmaster back in Logan, and he found a Toastmasters club in Taiwan, and all the clubs in Taiwan spoke English, and he was an English teacher, which is why he went there in the first place. So it's very good for that. And then, Randall, at the international conferences, are all the speeches in English, even if it doesn't matter, right? It's always usually everything's in English.
I believe so. I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Wow, quite the organization, and obviously something for anybody to consider who wants to improve their skills and also just wants to be connected with other people. And it's because lots of people are joining networking groups, so they're making the time, but this might be a better use of your time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and it's so relatively inexpensive to get going. I think we talked about it's $20 to become a member. And then do you get manuals anymore, Randall, when you join, or what do you get? Like some sort of like digital pass? Like what do you get now when you join a Toastmasters club?
Yeah, at one time you would get a monthly magazine, but it's all digital now where you can get the magazine, but it'll be online. So they do
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what would you say if you kind of looked at your 5 or 6 years in Toastmasters, what would you say was sort of your biggest takeaway of, what Toastmasters has just done for you personally?
Boy, there's a lot of things. It's helped me tremendously with my public speaking skills. Like I say, I got a long ways to go, but it's helped a lot. One thing that's fun that a lot of people don't mention is it's kind of therapeutic. When you sit down and give a speech, you can pretty much talk about whatever you want to, what really excites you, what depresses you, what you don't like. So it's kind of fun to get up there in front of other people and tell people what you think, what your ideas and thoughts are. And I enjoy that, the creative process of coming up with something and then presenting it to others. So that's been great. And then the friends I've met like you, and we've got a great club right now. So I just enjoy meeting with them every couple of weeks and just getting together, talking, visiting, and, we have a fun meeting. So I enjoy that.
That's good. That's good. And that is probably the nice thing about Toastmasters is that it has such a structured framework so that when you're going through a path, if you were, say, for instance, going through the, humorous speaking path, if there is such a one, I hope there is, but it would actually give you projects, but you decide what you want to talk about. So if you want to talk about, I know when I was doing my speeches, they would say, give an icebreaker. So your first speech was an icebreaker, which was introducing yourself. So don't we need to do that in every networking event? Find something that's interesting to talk about who you are as an individual. So it's not, you're writing speeches that are relevant for your own life, and you can repurpose those speeches. So you can take a speech to Toastmasters, you can try it out on your club, you can say, okay, I got to give this presentation for work, or I want to give this presentation in my business, so I want to do part of this as my Toastmasters speech. And then people will tweak it, they'll give you suggestions, here's what you could do better. And then that way, you're practicing, it's like a dress rehearsal in a safe space. And then you can go back into the business world and take that and craft it and, go your merry way. So it's nice in that you have that creativity, but it's structured prompts. So you're not just walking in there going, oh, I don't know what I talk about. And you can prepare for things like a real Toastmaster and get out there and give a best man speech, or, one of the biggest things that was the takeaway for me was I gave a eulogy, and I've actually given a couple of them now, but I was able to take the structured approach to writing a speech so that when it came time to do a eulogy, I knew how to do it in an organized format, pull in personal stories, storytelling, that sort of thing, and then really give an effective presentation at a time that was so critical to have those good communication skills because emotions were so high. So that was probably the biggest gift that I ever had, was learning how to do a good eulogy. So that was important too.
Yeah. Another great thing about Toastmasters is you can go through at your own pace. If you only want to give a speech once a year, that's fine. If you want to do one every meeting, you can do that too. So they're not pushy. You can go through at your own pace. So I enjoy that. And you can be involved. You be as involved as you want to. If you want to be in a leadership position, they'll let you have it. If you want to go even higher to a area or district position, you know, they'll allow you to do that. So you can be as involved as you want.
Yes, and you can mentor. So as you move through the organization, I've done mentoring, I've done training sessions for Toastmasters. So again, it's a way of enhancing your skills so that if you were, you know, say you were in a particular career and you wanted to have some training skills, but you didn't have that, you didn't have that ability in your job, you could do that through Toastmasters, and it would be a way for you to sort of up your resume of, oh, I have the ability to do trainings, and I could run a membership program. Like anything you can think of, you can really have that ability to do it in Toastmasters. So that's really good stuff. I like that. Okay. Any final thoughts, Janet? Have we spurred you on? Are you thinking you might go check out Toastmasters?
I think I am. And again, I regret that maybe I didn't pursue it earlier. Maybe I went to one. There were others in my area at the time. And if that one didn't speak to me, I suppose in hindsight, it would have been good for me to go check out some of the others for timing of the day. And also just the energy in the room.
Yes, and that's probably one of the key things is that if you go to a Toastmasters meeting, they're probably going to ask you to join, which is good. You want them to invite you, but there's never any pressure, and you are encouraged to go to as many meetings at different clubs until you find the right club for you. That's, you know, the people that you want to be with, the age range, the professions, whatever you're looking for. Even like you said, time of day, maybe you want one that's a restaurant, maybe you want one that's nice, quiet, you know, you have to just find the best fit and keep shopping until you find the right one. All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Randall, for being on our show today and talking about Toastmasters, and I'm looking forward to seeing you do more award-winning speaking.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Okay.
And a toast to you, Randall.
There we go.
I wish we had our champagne, but my water bottle will have to do.
Cheers. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.